Welcome everyone to another CTC Software webinar. My name is Sean Zerbis. I'm the Director of BIM Development here at CTC Software. And in today's session, we get to continue the Nexus CMS User Learning Series, focusing on how to work with your favorite content. Now, of course, as always, these webinars are recorded. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we hope this earns a like and perhaps a subscription from you today. Those of you participating with us live in the webinar, we do say the QA session for the end, so you can ask any questions while we're talking, and we try to answer those live. But if we can't, we do the answers in a full-on questions and answer session at the very end. Without further ado, let's jump right in and start talking about today's presentation. So we all have favorites, right? Favorite foods, treats, drinks, places to go on vacation, you name it, all kinds of favorites. A lot of people have favorite content that they use regularly within our design spaces as well. We tend to use these things the most often. And for each of us, they're a little different, depending on what our roles are, depending on what kind of projects we work on. In a larger company especially, there's a lot of content there, and some of the things we might be trying to find all the time. So how can we efficiently find those things that we use all the time within the Nexus CMS? So here today, in this session, I'm going to be showing you all of the controls that you need to really work well with your favorite content directly within the Nexus CMS. We're going to cover a few specific things. We're going to talk about where the favorites controls are. We're going to cover how to work with content and add it to your favorites list and to associate with your favorites. We're going to use some additional filters in collaboration with favorites. And we're also going to talk about saving our searches and our filters by, including the favorites here, but we're going to save those settings so that we can make them really easy to recall. First off, let's talk about the favorites controls. Where do we find these things within the Nexus CMS environment? And so what I'm going to do is pull the Nexus CMS forward here. I'm signed in as myself right now, so it doesn't really matter if you're an admin or if you're a daily, designer just using the CMS and you don't have admin rights. The controls for this are all exactly the same. So first off, let's just run a quick search. Let's just hit enter here and get, access to all of our content. In my case, I got about 13,000 pieces of content that are available to me. There's a lot of stuff here. And so if I wanted to run a search and get my favorites that I've already saved, and you might not be able to do this just yet, but I'm going to go ahead and run a search for my favorites. There's a little heart up here on the topmost ribbon, or the topmost title bar. If I search my favorites, it's going to throw into the search string here, instead of an asterisk, it's throwing in bracket, favorites, bracket. Now you could type that out manually if you want to, whatever, but that's just a search string that tells the CMS that what you're looking for is content that's been marked as your favorite. Okay, so that's the first thing. That'll let you use favorites in a search to include those results. Now let's get rid of this. Let's go take a look at how you can add to your favorites so that your results actually shows you something. So let me search for something here. Let's search for, actually, let's just do a basic search. Let's do libraries for one of my corporate libraries here. Let's go in here and look for furniture in this case. I'm going to hit apply, and this is going to come back with 102 items, right? That's a lot of stuff inside this list. And if I start scrolling down, I could go look for something inside of here. Let's see if I can find something interesting. Scroll. Hey, there we go. I have some Herman Miller content. In fact, the Aeron chairs are things that I use very regularly, specifically the sort of office seating chair here. I use these quite consistently. So if I was to just go up here perhaps and search for Aeron, yeah, there we go. I can actually find that component. But maybe I don't want to have to do that repetitively. Maybe I want to just take this particular one, not the high chair, the work stool, but just the regular work chair, and I want this one specifically to be marked as a favorite. So what I can do is right-click on a piece of content, or you can actually do multiple pieces of content as well from this. But if you select a piece of content, right-click, you can mark that as a favorite. So when I do that, you'll see actually in the top right corner up here, there's going to be a little heart right there. That indicates to you that this content is your favorite. This doesn't affect anybody else in your firm. This is for you specifically. It's your favorite content, so you've marked that for yourself. Now, if I go up here and I search for favorites, all of my search criteria over here to the right clears out, and it runs a very specialized search that has no extra filters on it, and it's just searching for favorites. And now in this case, I have 14 found. If we were to go back in time and take a look, there would have only been 13 items found in the past. I only had 13 things marked as favorites. Now there's 14, and one of those things is this Herman Miller seating Aeron work chair .rfa. This is a Revit family. This works exactly the same if you happen to be dealing with AutoCAD content, working with blocks or working with road profiles, subassemblies. You can do whatever it is you need to mark them as your favorites, and inside this system, they will be your personal favorites. Now, you can combine this if you want. So I've added favorites and I've just searched favorites, and that's all well and good, but what if I wanted to do some additional filtration on top of this? Well, you absolutely can do that. Say you wanted to go over here and you wanted to search for your favorites that were in a particular library. I can hit apply on that, and this is going to go ahead and run my search, unless all my stuff is in the same library. I don't think it is. And unless, of course, my CMS, oh yeah, it's angry at me. I didn't restart it before the webinar just now, so it, of course, is going to be a little sad with what I just did. I think I triple-clicked on the apply button a second ago with my mouse. There we go. Now it's happy. Go ahead and run that search. In this case, it's actually not filtering quite as I was expecting it to, but you can leverage filters over here as well. In this case, though, what I'm going to do is use some extra text-based searches. These are things that I use all the time. In a previous webinar, we talked about using advanced searches up here, where I can do things like, let's just say I want to filter out, since I have a lot of doors in here, let's just say I want to filter out anything that's doors. I'm just going to type it out there. So it'll look through my favorites, and from my favorites, it will add to that the criteria that it has to be doors. Now, I could probably have just typed in the word doors and it would be the same, but I'm using the plus on purpose here because I'm going to combine that with something else. Maybe I want this to only include things that match single, right? So I've got single pocket, I've got single bifold, I've got things like that. So I can say, hey, you know what? I've got doors. It also has to be single, and I can run a search for that and it will find me all of those things. If I don't put that and I just leave a space here, then it'll find me things that are doors and also could have single, right? This no plus means or. If I was to do doors or single, I might even find extra stuff outside of doors that might have single, like single casework, right? So I'm using the plus sign to tell the CMS here specifically that it must have this in the list, doors plus single. Now, one of the things that I want to avoid here in my case is I don't want any sliding doors, maybe. Maybe I don't want sliding, maybe I don't want pocket, right? So I could get rid of those and maybe only get back swing and I don't know, whatever this bifold is here. So I'm looking for doors, looking for single. What I'm going to do is put the subtraction here first. So don't have in your search, I'm going to put this in parentheses on purpose, don't have bifold or sliding. And I can rerun that search. And I guess something else got stripped away as well. It's saying, okay, cool, can't be bifold, can't be sliding, but it must be doors and it must be single. And so it's giving me back the one thing that is single doors that doesn't match this criteria here from my search results. You can use these to really refine down, and I'm limiting this down to just things that I have marked as favorites. Now, this exact same thing can work just fine with all the rest of the filters as well, not using favorites. But our point today is to talk about favorites, and in this case, using additional filters alongside my favorites. And so what I'm going to do here is also now do one final thing in this little bit of the discussion. I want to make sure that I'm able to save these and recall them later so I don't have to retype out all the stuff that I figured out. If I'm refining down to something very specific, like I'm doing favorites and just those that are doors, maybe I want to make a saved search called My Favorite Doors, right? So then I don't have to keep typing this every time. I could just use one of my saved searches from over here. In fact, I have one called SCZ, my initials here, single swing doors. And if I choose this, then it's going to find me all the single doors. I guess I didn't put the word swing in there, so it's getting extra stuff here. But it did run whatever that criteria happened to be, favorites plus single plus doors. And now what I'm going to do is reapply this here and save this search. So we've talked about saving searches before. In this case, I'm going to make a brand new save search. I'm going to prefix this intentionally with my initials and call this favorite doors. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that. You can save your own searches no matter what. If you are an admin of the Nexus CMS environment, you also will have the ability to share that with the rest of the company. Just understand, if you include favorites in a saved search that you're sharing, other users are definitely going to have different results because favorites are very user specific here. Now that I have this, I can, of course, run a search for whatever I'd like. In this case, I just ran a saved search for MEP Mechanical, and it sets all my filters up over here. But at the very bottom, I have my favorite doors. So I'm grouping them together intentionally by prefixing with my initials so that everything is nicely grouped for my personal saved searches. They don't get intermixed up here with corporate saved stuff. But I can recall that, and it will rerun favorites plus doors, and I'm getting back exactly, for me, the results of this. Now, if I was to add to my favorite doors in the future, and I rerun that search, after I've rerun or after I've added to it, it's going to add another thing to my favorites. I'll give you one quick example here. Let's go into, since we're talking about my favorite doors, let's go into CTC's doors overall. And maybe I want to start using revolving doors like this. I can mark that as a favorite. You see there's a bunch of other favorites here where there's the hearts in the top of the doors themselves. So if I rerun now my personal favorite doors, that revolving door will now be in the list, and I'm getting 8 results instead of 7 results. So all of the saved searches in the Nexus CMS are always dynamic. They're always going to look for all that content and return the results. So in the future, as you add to your favorites, or in this case, favorites that are doors, it is going to return those results for you. Well, I haven't seen any questions roll through yet. If you do have questions, now is a perfect time to throw them into the questions window. For those of you watching this as a recording, we always want to say thank you. We hope you find this content valuable, and we also hope that you like the video and you come back for more to our YouTube channel. We hope you have a fantastic day.